did you feel the students did in meeting your instructional goals?
I actually thought they did really well.
And what I'm hearing you say is I definitely like the fact that you use those stickers, because I definitely think the praise is there to push kids to be cheering louder. Obviously, they want to win. It kind of shows, hey, if I participate and do well, I can earn this sticker. How did you assess student learning in relation to the CSTP 2.6?
We just did a survey at the end of the lesson.
So what I'm hearing you say is you used the survey to kind of check for the understanding at the end. You saw, hey, who was being cheerful, who was cheering, and who kind of wasn't. Let's go ahead and we'll review some of the footage. Reviewing the footage, how did you think this went as you were monitoring the activity?
I thought it went really well. So
I'm hearing you say is overall you thought that the lesson did really well. You hit your instructional goals.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could go back and tweak something, it would probably be the setup time.
Just kind of how I set it up, or having kids help set up. And
in the future, students should know what to do
Yeah.
at this point. So if we ever do play this game, or when you play this game again, they'll have a better understanding and they can kind of get things set up and we can get started a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Here I have the T-chart that you asked me to provide when we were in the classroom, and I was pretty surprised. With how much those kids were cheering, it was kind of like I couldn't almost go fast enough when it came to them cheering, clapping, just doing whatever they needed to do to show support for their teams. But 32 times I had students, cheering at one point or another, or saying positive comments. I know at the beginning of the lesson, you kind of demonstrated how to be positive, how to cheer, how to support the team, not having kids being positive. I definitely think that this paper demonstrates that you were hitting your goal. An observation data collection tool I have is pretty much a chart. It observes your support for positive behavior. I say the examples and then the student responses. And just some things that I noticed that you did to kind of promote that positive behavior and create that positive learning environment was just, stating cheering for your team will make your teammates push themselves during the relay race. Great job cheering for your team. When a group of kids were cheering, you kind of walked over and said, that's what I like to hear. And the students' responses were, cheering louder. To data collection tools, what do you think in terms of your own self-assessment?
I thought it actually provided some good feedback. Confirmed that what I am actually teaching encouragement, and students are, being responsive to that. You're seeing the cheering and it's actually happening.
You believe from your own self-assessment and from the data collected that, you were successful in your instructional goals?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
And in terms of meeting the PE standard and your CSTP 2.6, you
Yes.
say that you definitely hit your marks?
Yes.
Okay. The students who were, those 3 students that you mentioned, hey, can you please keep an eye on these 3?
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that they were participating, running as fast as they could, and they were just as encouraging as any other student. So I thought that was kind of nice to see. We have all the exit tickets here. And for the most part, with this student, you can see, I encourage my team by cheering. I'm going to have you look at this one. What would you say you noticed about this student's response?
Well, this student actually is part of a group that isn't my fastest, and they actually had come up with a really good strategy.
The student's response, you could tell that they obviously enjoyed the relay race, the activity that you put on for them that day. He straight up even says that, I had fun. And you mentioned that this student sometimes struggles with running, but that was the nice thing about your game, was it wasn't only about the fastest kids, it was also about what kind of strategy you can come up with to get your topple tubes out before the other team gets
Yeah.
theirs up. All right. So I know you told me to watch those three students, and this one boy really stood out to me, especially this moment when I was reviewing the video independently, but I'll just play and let you watch. So obviously he just won. He's high-fiving his teammates. They're all jumping up and down. They're kind of cheering each other on. They're saying, "No, we won," and I thought that was awesome to see, because I know you said, "Hey, this kid really struggles to participate,"
Yeah.
but you can just tell in that moment how much fun he was having. He was also cheering. He was participating. He was definitely hitting all of the instructional goals, and he's a student, as you said, who struggles.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there he is. I mean, I thought that the lesson really had a good was well done, especially in terms of hitting your instructional goal and your CSTP 2.6. After reviewing your demonstration, is there anything you think you would go back and redo if you could?
As I'm explaining the rules, as having a student kind of demonstrating as I explain may bring in a little bit more focus.
I definitely agree. The setup did take a little bit longer than expected, so you're
Yeah.
kind of like, all right, well, we got to get to the
Yeah.
next spot,
Right,
so
yeah.
let me hurry this up. And I do agree, the kids did pick up on it pretty quick. So.
Yeah, and I think it was evident that I explained all the rules,
Mhm.
you know, and so all the rules were explained.
Going back to the exit ticket, how would you determine if a kid was or was not meeting your standard?
So we've got 5 questions here. So meeting a standard is going to be answering, like, meeting or exceeding is answering all 5 questions.
So what I'm hearing you say is, when it comes to meeting the standards, you are looking at the multiple choice questions, your participation level and the yes and no's. But really, what you were looking at is what did they say and what was their strategy, and really what they came up with. And when it came to meeting the standard, obviously they answered all 5 questions with quality answers in the writing prompts. They either meet it or exceeded, maybe a 4 out of 5, but a 4 out of 5 would still be meeting standard. Okay. I guess, why did you remind the students to think about their strategy?
First and foremost, it brings in a lot of cooperative learning. So to just kind of, and in many games, there's not always one strategy. So I realized that there's some of the slower groups were actually winning because they were actually thinking about, like, what is the order of operation.
Then after reviewing the video and the data collection, do you think that there was any moments in the lesson where students struggled?
I think sometimes they can struggle with focus on what's going on when it's not their turn.
Yeah. And is at least for your other classes, not necessarily this, but a struggle was kind of, you want to get in, get them moving, because idle hands,
Yeah.
But because I did notice that once they were moving, everything was smooth.